Hi team, welcome to Inside the Movie Photographer with Jasin Boland. Tonight, I've got the guy who's probably kept you awake more than anyone else on the planet with his photographs. I've got the one and only Justin Lubin, who's worked on some of the most insane horror films that I can't watch. Halloween, Crank, Texas Chainsaw 3D, The Purge, The Lazarus Effect, Ted 2, Ouija, Annabelle, which there's no way I'm watching that. Insidious, The Nun, again, no way I'm watching that. And we also share a director with that. He's done the Get Out. So I'm going to bring Jasin in. Big man, how you doing?
How are you, Jason? Good to see you.
Likewise. How's work going over there?
It's going good. Just getting ready for the big onslaught of production.
That's great. Oh, I love this fact about you. I mean, there's many good facts about you, but you were working in Vegas, I believe, as a busboy, and then you were grafting your way through into the film industry. And one of the first films you worked on was the Fart movie, correct?
Yes, it was originally called Artie, and then retitled to Fart the Movie. And I still have the DVD, which is a nice keepsake from a movie I want to forget. But I'm glad that it's there for historical purposes.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, now, all jokes aside, because you have had a stellar career and are still having a stellar career, and like a lot of us, you've forged your way into a specialty, and that doesn't mean that you can't do other things, because you can, but you have a bit of a theme with horror and gore, and with the action, with the Crank and stuff like that as well. But we've shared a couple of the same directors in our time. But, I mean, tell us about what it's like on set of one of these massive, scary horror films that I can't watch.
Well, first of all, everything's mostly practical. You actually have the physical monster on set, peering through the shadows and scaring the actors, and it's just that's the one thing I love about working on horror films, is that the monster is there to be photographed, and that's not always the case, but I've been fortunate that with Annabelle, the doll is there, and the creatures in the Annabelle world are all there, and they're fully realized, and they're running down hallways and pulling actors and scaring the crap out of everybody. And it's really, and that's, I think, really fun to be a part of, because I grew up loving, horror films and reading magazines like Fangoria and Gore Zone. So to be able to see my pictures, on my walls, from those magazines is just a dream come true. So
yeah, you are much more geeky-licious than what I am, I would like to say, because you're right into all the comic books and the old movies, and so much so that I feel a bit of an idiot, because when we were talking about blimps a long time ago, you said, it looks like the Tony Stark blimp, and I'm like, who's Tony Stark?
Yeah.
So this is the difference, guys, between me and Justin, is he knows what he's talking about, and I clearly don't. So with what you're saying on set, I mean, does the director actually pop some of these characters out and in real time scare the cast?
Well, sometimes sometimes on set, when we're shooting a new creature, the actor will have never seen the creature. It's like a real scare. Like they want that genuine reaction from the actor when it comes out from behind them, because they don't know what they're seeing.
Wow.
They don't know when it's going to be seen. Like the director is like sometimes said, to the actor, like, come over here. And the actor's just walking through the back of the set, and the demon's like, coming out from behind them, and the actor has no clue. And it makes it all more tense, because they don't know, like, and when they turn around and, they go out, they lose their stuff in it. And it's just, it's fun to watch, and it's fun to be there for that, because you get a genuine reaction.
My gosh.
And the crew's just biting their lip, like, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? But it's intentional a lot of times. But yeah.
Yeah. Now you've worked with some of the great directors in action and horror. I'm not going to ask you to pick any favorites, but past or present, is there any directors that you think just completely stand out in the genre?
Well, there's James Wan, who I'm sure you know very well.
Yeah.
He created this whole Conjuring universe, and I've been blessed to play in this universe, and he knows what he's doing. I mean, he knows what he's doing, and even if he's not directing certain films, his presence is very much felt. He comes to set, when he can, and guides everything because he knows, he has a very clear vision of what this universe he's created should be. But he has enough trust in the directors he brings in to do the job.
Yeah, I found when I worked on Aquaman with him that he there would be only a few times that he would suggest something else to me, and I would obviously go and shoot it, and then I'd be like, you know what? He's 100% right, and he's a very, very smart man.
Well, he's very visual. He knows the cameras. He knows his lenses. He knows which lens is his favorite. I think his favorite lens is the 10 mil lens. He just loves this lens, and any chance he can use it. But he knows how to use it. Like he knows how to set up the frame. And I think that one of the last Annabelle movie I did was directed by a gentleman named Gary Dauberman, who wrote It, Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, and had written previous installments in the Conjuring universe. And so he was very well versed in knowing how to scare the crap out of people, and knowing, from James's influence, how to make a really slick horror film, and just being in the company of these directors and these filmmakers. Like I said, I'm a 13-year-old kid on set, and I get paid, and I get paid to do this, and that's kind of how I approach a horror film. Is or any film for that matter. I go, what would the 13-year-old me want to see in these magazines you thumb through?
I love it.
And that's really how I shoot any project. It's like, what do I want to see? It's like, what does the kid in me want to hang on his wall and idolize? And that's kind of like what I want to, give back. It's like that's how I shoot. And I can't phone it in. No matter how, sometimes you work on a project and you're just like, ugh. But for the most part, we can't do that. If we slack, it shows. And
sorry.
We can't, and we can't do that. So.
Yeah, no, it's a theme that runs through the great photographers that over the years that I've met, is that they have a tendency to treat the environment like it's a real place. I mean, like, not crazy enough to actually believe it, but here you are talking about, as a 13-year-old, what would you like to see and what would scare the hell out of you? And we're storytellers, and it's really nice to hear that you have that exact same attitude towards a film set, and your photography is that you want people to go wow, and you want people to be surprised. And I think it probably surprises yourself in many ways when you get a great shot that you're like, yeah, this works.
Yeah, no, and what's funny is that now when I'm home editing, my kids are my first photo editors. They'll look at something from the Nun and they'll go, no, and they'll run away. And you've got it. That, like, you've done your job. Even my wife, when she looks at something, she's like, I don't want to see it. She won't even go see anything I've worked on. I think the first thing that she saw that I worked on, she was Ted 2, but I think she went to see Texas Chainsaw with me, but she watched the whole movie through her sweater. She was so scared, but she was like, I just want to be here to support you. And I'm like, then watch the movie.
See, I told you guys, it's like, even keeps his wife up from the movies. But your young fella, Dylan, he's quite the talented artist too, right?
He is. He loves art. He loves music, and I hope he keeps that up. I mean, I'm not one of these parents that's going to force him to do anything. It's like, you must play football or you must play the piano. Like, I want him to learn and try everything.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And that's how you get him to fall in love with something.
Yeah, I love his art. It's like when you first started it, showing it around to a few of us, just blew me away. And he did a commission for my son Hunter, who was in Mad Max, and it's just such a rad shot and rad Brad's drawing. And yeah, very, very cool to have a full artistic family. Must be lots of fun. Hey, we should have a look at a few photos. What do you think?
Sure. What you got?
Wow. I'm going to bring them in now. Oh, here we go. So this is Crank, right?
This is Crank High Voltage. This is the sequel. And this was an interesting picture because we were told we couldn't shoot it. Me and the EPK guy were like, you can't shoot this scene. And I'm like, ugh. And so as they kept shooting the scene, I went up to the AD and to Jasin and I was like, do you care? Do you want, like, is it okay if I shoot this? Because this is really good stuff. And Jasin was like, oh, of course, man. Gotta shoot this. It's fucking great. And, this was one of the fun. These are practical horses running alongside them as they're having sex on a racetrack.
That's awesome. Oh, so it was a closed set. That's why they didn't.
Well, we were shooting it. It was a closed set, but he doesn't care. Like he's, I think it was more like, as you know, sometimes the ADs and everybody are more, cautious about being polite to the actors and having the. But this movie was so insane that the directors, they wanted everything shot. Like it wasn't like. This was an outlandish sex scene that's just pure mayhem, and it wasn't like something sensual and. There wasn't a ton of, the only thing you saw was the top of his butt. So it wasn't, terrible. But yeah, this is one of my favorite pictures because it's literally like to be able to see these horses running alongside these actors, you're like, oh God, I hope they run straight.
Yeah, right. And Brian and Mark, crazy directors. Those guys.
Brian, listen, I'll do whatever show they want. They're nuts, and I love it. They taught me how to take pictures running backwards. And I figured if I could do that, I could do anything. And, I don't have rollerblades like Mark, but I can run backwards and photograph pretty well, as I learned from making this movie.
I did Ghost Rider with them, and Mark was on the rollerblades, probably doing 30 mile an hour, towed behind a motorbike. It was just crazy. And, they're great guys and extremely talented directors. Yeah, this is crazy. And Stratham, he does great action.
Steve is one of the nicest guys I've worked with. He lets you do your job. He loves to see good work.
Yeah. Well, there's no surprises where this one's from.
This was an interesting shot because this was a second unit day, and I had just finished a 12-hour day on first unit. And I said to myself, I have to get to set. I have to pull myself out of bed to shoot this shot. So I got there, I corralled, the makeup, the props people, and I said, the sun was setting. I said, give me everything. And I took the actor to an open field, and I had him do this Leatherface dance. And if you ever saw the original Texas Chainsaw, he's like wielding the chainsaw in the sunset and the sunrise, I should say, and it's pretty cool. It's like very iconic. And I was like, I have to recreate that for this movie. And the best part was the guy who played the original Leatherface was sitting right off to the side because he had a cameo in the movie, watching me recreate this. And after I took the shot and I was thumbing through the camera, I found, I looked at this picture and I was like, I got it. And I walked over and I showed it to him, and he was like, I wish you were on the original. But it was so nice. And this is like one of my favorite pictures. I mean, to have this movie, like Texas Chainsaw is my favorite horror film of all time. So to be a part of this was, monumental.
That is one that I saw. That's not the Warner Brothers tank in the background, is it?
No. We actually shot this in Shreveport, Louisiana. We were on I think that set was in an Air Force base or a Navy base or something. They built this whole house on this Army. I don't even remember what base it was, but I always thought about removing that from the photo, but I kind of like it. It just gives some perspective.
I like it too. It's funny, isn't it? It's like when you revisit images, I have images that I've sat on for 3, 4, 5 years that I didn't like, and then I'll look at them again and it'll be like, oh, hold on. Actually, I really like that. I mean, do you have that?
I do. And I've gone through some of my older shots and I'm just like, oh, I don't remember shooting that, but I like that. And okay, you just kind of put that into the rotation a little bit, especially with Instagram now. You can, it may not go into the portfolio per se, but it can definitely be seen.
Yes.
So
yeah, 100%. Back catalog is really important. And I love the story about the original Leatherface. It's funny because I had the same sort of thing as you. Like every photograph that I look at that I've taken, I can tell you a story from that day. It mightn't be anything too specific, but you have a memory from that day of every image you look at, right?
Oh yeah, no, I can literally tell. Like when I mean, I've seen stuff published, and they credit another photographer, and I go, "That's my shot. It's
Yeah.
not your shot." And they go, "How do you know?" I go, "I remember that day. I remember exactly how hot it was. I remember where I was standing. That's my photo."
Yeah.
And sure enough, like when you do my research, and I go, "No, here it is. It's right here. See, told you." But yeah, and that's the thing. It's like every story. I mean, every photo should tell a story, but every photo has a story.
Oh yes, love
You know,
that. That's so true. That's so true. Hey, JL, while we're onto that, before I move on to the next photo, just quickly, what's your advice to, there's a lot of people that want to get into the film industry as a still photographer, without giving any shortcuts. What's your helpful advice of where to begin?
I'd say just shoot everything you can. And I mean, like, if you want to be a film and TV photographer and this is what you want to do, this is all I ever wanted to do. This is all I knew I wanted to do. But if this is what you want to do, I'd say shoot plays, shoot student films, go to schools, and, just be able, like I said, you want to be able to show people you can tell a story in a single frame.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you're doing it at a wedding, if you're doing it at a play at school or a student film at USC. Your job is to show up and help sell this project any way you can by telling these stories with these pictures.
I mean, wedding photographers' work isn't that dissimilar to what we do.
No, I mean, I won't shoot weddings. I won't shoot weddings. I think they're everything is very specialized. I can't do landscape photography. That's not my thing. That takes a lot of patience and travel, and I don't do either. So, but with wedding photography, it's just like, it's so important that there are people who just do that.
Yeah.
And, the person who shot my wedding, I mean, I loved what they did, and I let them be, because you look at someone's portfolio and you go, I know you can do this, but I'm hiring you as a person to do it.
Yeah, that's so true.
You're entrusting the person, and that's part of it. Like, they're not just hiring our work; they know we can do the job. It's are we going to gel on set?
Yeah, and they're after the emotion. That one frame that tells a story, as we keep talking about, and the emotion, and what I like to call the director's performance. They're out there doing the same thing. There's many areas of photography that sort of brush by what we do, and it can be not necessarily an easy transition, because it's a hard area to get get that first job, and to get into the heads of filmmakers that you can do it. But when it comes to the actual craft, there's many areas out there that are beneficial to have, right?
There are. And I think the one thing, and I don't want to sound cliche, but the one thing you really need to have is faith in yourself. And that's the biggest thing. And I can tell you real quick, Mark Neveldine and Brian Taylor from Crank and from Ghostwriter, as you know, when they looked at my portfolio to hire me for Crank 2, they flipped through it faster than I've ever seen anybody flip through a book. They did not look interested at all. And the first thing they said to me was, they were like, there's just nothing Crank-like in your book. To which like I said, it just kind of came out of me, which I said, is like, well, I haven't shot Crank yet.
Oh, sweet.
And they were like, oh. And then I just said, without thinking, literally, and this is a quote, like I said, you never forget certain things. I just said to them, I go, look, guys, if you bring me on board and you think my work is crap, after 1 week, fucking fire me. No hard feelings. And they were like, okay. And I said, nice meeting you. I walked out of the office. I'm sitting on the 405. 30 minutes later, I get a phone call from Lakeshore, and they're like, hey, directors loved you. You're on board.
No way. That is.
And I was like, I was so happy. I was just like, oh my God. But like I said, like, always have faith in yourself. Like, just don't be afraid. And I learned that the hard way. Like, I learned that, being very self-deprecating was bad. Like, kind of talking down about yourself. And I'm like, no, I'm good at what I do. I'm good on set. I'm a good guy. Just just have faith in yourself, and that's what anybody wanting to do this. It's like, just believe in yourself, and like, your work speaks for yourself, but you need to speak for yourself.
Well, 100%. That belief in yourself to get those first jobs is really important. I remember you telling me once that that first film that you worked on, you actually said to him, right, I will pay for the film and processing and to nail this, and you did it, and that was a smart decision. We hear too many of the younger photographers these days complaining about having to do edits and take their time and stuff like that. It's like, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to not work again, or do you want to show these people what you can do?
There are certain things you can do off the clock without causing a stink.
Yeah.
And the story with the thing you just mentioned was that, like, I paid for the film and the processing because I wanted to do the job.
Yeah.
And I don't regret that. And what happened with that job actually was, the next job I got that actually got me into the union, the producers of that had worked with some of the actors in that low budget movie. Wow. And when they looked at those pictures in my portfolio, like, oh, you worked with D. Wallace Stone. Oh, you worked with Rance Howard. Now, those names may not be A-listers, but those producers had worked with them before. And that was enough of a tie to bring me in, because they had worked with them. So, like, it's like so it paid for itself, really. Like, the movie then paid for itself for me to then get hired on a movie that flipped to become union 2 days later. So
no, okay. Oh, no way. So yeah. I didn't realize that. So, oh wow, that's like a beautiful story of coincidence.
Yeah, no, it all timed out like immensely. And they had 2 movies in production, and they hired me for both. And on the second day of the first movie, the union came in, signed the contract, and everybody was, union if they weren't already in the union.
Yeah.
But I was immediately, like, I didn't have to do whatever the days or hours it was I was in. Just had to pay my initiation fee, and that's how I got into the union. Wow. Some people, have to work a lot of days, and they work at it, and I got very fortunate. So, but like I said, you got to just keep at it. I mean, because something like that may happen, and that changed my life.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer of creating your own luck, and when I give the advice similar to yours about working on student films and theatre projects and stuff like that, you're working on a student film, you don't know whether that director is going to be the next James Wan and he's going to love what you did and want to thank you for helping them out, and it's really important to build a network of contacts from the very first thought of, I want to be a still photographer.
Yeah, and believe me, like, there are more people who repay kindness than don't.
Yes.
We hear of stories of, like, oh, they didn't call me for that movie, and but somebody else calls, and somebody else gets your name from somebody else, and that's how it happens. I mean, yeah. That's my early days in TV, where I did a show called Angel. Mm-hmm. For the WB, and the WB really liked my work, and Fox wanted to hire me for Buffy, and I went to Fox and I was like, "Don't you want to see my portfolio?" And they're like, "No, we love your work. Like, we're good. Go to set."
Buffy,
you've worked and built that in, so it's just it's a good thing.
Yeah, well, Hollywood loves familiarity, or filmmakers, I should say, love familiarity. They don't want to necessarily have to take a risk. They want to know that the person they hire is going to turn up, not complain about the deal, and get on with producing great work.
No, that's exactly it. Like, nobody wants a whiner, and there are some out there, and you just kind of go with the flow.
Yeah, we were talking about this last night, that you can be the best photographer in the whole wide world, or the best crew member, or the best person, but if you are not user friendly, well, then you won't end up leaving your postcode, and there's something to be said for that. Oh, this is such a great squib shot. Oh my gosh, sorry, I just clocked it then what it was, and I was like, because getting a squib is not an easy thing to capture in a still.
No, and what's funny about this is that this was a throwback to the first movie, where he is somebody thinks he shot somebody with his finger, but in the movie there's a guy off camera shooting him, who we see actually shooting him. So he's always like, "Oh, this." He goes, "This isn't really a gun." But yeah, but to capture this was cool because it's like, it's always something not right.
Yep.
So, but to grab that, it's just like, you can see a little piece of head brain falling back there, and it's a cool shot.
I can't think of there being a better angle of this, actually. And, of course, this would have been in the blimp days with DSLR and not mirrorless, where you can shove a camera in there. So it's kind of cheap.
This is definitely a blimp shot.
All right. Oh, it's stellar. I love it. Oh, my gosh. Oh, God, I can't even look. Honestly, now I'm going to have nightmares tonight. I tried, when I do these, I try not to look at the photos because I want to be surprised the first time that I see them. Oh, my gosh, I can't even. I'm going to have to close my eyes, I think. Okay. Talk me through it.
This is from Ouija Origin of Evil, the sequel. And this was, a scene where a guy turns on a light and the possessed girl is hanging upside down. And this was this actress I've worked with twice. She did this, and then we worked on Annabelle creation together. Her name is Lulu Wilson. Really amazing young actor. And that's another reason I say this too. That's another reason I like working in horror films, is because most of the actors who work in there are very amenable to doing what you ask. Like if there's like a setup where you can't get somewhere and you need to get in there, they'll recreate it for you, no problem, but they'll give it all to you. The scream, everything. But this is just one of those shots that just, I'm fighting off two cameras and getting in there because I'm like, I got to get this shot. Like this is creepy as hell. I got to get this.
Oh my gosh. It's like, you saw my reaction.
But it's great. I mean, it's one of those things that just like everything works out perfectly in this shot.
It really does. It's like, oh my God. And the horror genre is a really good breeding ground for great talent too, isn't it? I mean, a lot of up and coming actors do these and then end up being massive stars.
Yeah, I think that, especially in the early days of horror, like, people like Kevin Bacon was in like the original Friday the 13th, and, Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, these young actors and just actors in general, like the gentleman you see here in the photo, you can't really see him, but he was Elliot in E.T. as Henry Thomas.
No way.
Yeah, he played a priest in the movie, but it's like a soap opera in a way where, like, if you can get through a horror film, you can do any kind of movie because of what's required of you on a set.
Yeah, and I bet you they have a lot of fun doing it too.
I've never been on a bad horror set. Like everyone's just kind of, it's like, even if, like it could be like on Texas Chainsaw, it could be hot and the mosquitoes, but like everyone's having a blast.
Yeah.
How can you not?
Yeah, totally.
In a lighter change here, this was from the Rio Olympics promo shoot that I was doing.
That is so cool. That's a great shot. Did you do it in Rio, or is that a backdrop?
We did that in West LA, I think. In like Smashbox Studios or something.
Did she win a medal?
I think they all medaled. We shot, like, we had so many gold medalists eventually, because we shot these before the Olympics. So, like, whoever made the Olympic team would then go on and perform, and they would use these to promote them. And I think she medaled, but yeah, that's one of my favorite shots. I mean, it's like perfect. It's like the spread is like perfect.
Did you use a tramp for that, or did she just like jump into that?
She jumped right into it, because she ran and jumped into it. Like she jumped across. And then, like,
really?
Yeah.
So were you panning with it, or did you?
I was. No, I was. I was just follow the ball.
Man, that makes that shot even more difficult. The fact that it's
well, because you don't know where she's going to land. Like, it's one of those things where it's like she didn't rehearse it, and I don't know where she's going to jump, and you don't know. You just kind of hopefully you get it.
Yeah, right. And it was strobe too?
No, this was all hot lit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What sort of exposure did you have?
I don't even remember. I mean, I think it was a little faster shutter speed, but the lights, I mean, they had like a big Ellen Chrome
Yeah.
light on her, but um, it's still, I mean, like to be able to nail that, and it was like sharp as a tack. And I think
Yeah.
I shot that with my Canons. I've since moved to Fuji, but I think the Canon, I mean, Canons, I'll ride or die with them. But right now, the mirrorless game is, for me, it's Fuji. But that was a great shot, and Canon like nailed that. So, their
Yeah,
cameras are pretty good.
I've never seen so many people, so many photographers use so many different systems now. It's kind of, it's trippy to watch the market maneuver itself around what's going to be the best, and there doesn't seem to be any best. It feels to me that they're all jockeying for position, and as you know, I'm a Nikon guy, and I still use the DSLR as well as the mirrorless to pull off different shots. But it's really cool watching the camera manufacturers leapfrog over each other. Each design that comes out, it's costly for us guys, but
well, I mean,
but
as you could attest to, I mean, it's like I want the best tool. I mean,
yeah,
the thing I've hated my entire career is when someone goes, "Oh man, your camera's really good," and you go, "Yeah, it's half the battle, I guess." But you got to be able to do that job. And I feel that with myself, it's like if I'm given a Sony or a Fuji or a Canon to do the job, I'll do it with whatever you want me to shoot it with a pinhole camera. I'll shoot it with a pinhole camera. It's whatever I adjust to what the client needs.
yeah,
And,
yeah. There you go. That's exact. Oh, so this is more from that. That's is that Phelps?
That's Michael Phelps. Yeah. The interesting the story with the story with what's funny about this Rio shoot was that I went home, like the people of the Olympics loved instantly posting stuff. Like they were all about social media. So it wasn't like they were saving this picture for a year from then. They wanted it out. But what I did was I didn't do any of that. What I did was I went home and I printed up these 13 by 19 prints of all the shots that I loved from the sessions, and brought them all to like the head of the IOC. And they looked at them they spread them out amongst tables, and they were like, the guy looked at me, he goes, "We have to change our ad campaign. Like these are great. Like they changed the whole vision of what they were doing because, most of the stuff they wanted was head to toe smiley so they can put, Rio Olympics. But this was like something that changed, the way they wanted to do it, especially with the girl jumping, something like that. Like they got more than what they bargained for. So they had what they wanted and then what they didn't know they wanted."
Well, that's really that backs up what you've been saying all along. Is put yourself on the line and believe in yourself, and to believe in yourself that much and to have them change a advertising campaign for the Olympics it doesn't get much better than that, mate.
No, and they were fantastic. When I saw the final results, I was like, send me some posters of those. Those are something I want to have.
Oh yeah, that was shot of Phelps. Oh my gosh. So team, that was episode 1 with the one and only Justin Lubin, the photographer of all things horror and gore. And not only that, but you saw there that by delivering off-brief images, you can actually have the power to change a campaign as massive as the Olympics. So there's a lot for you guys to take away from that. And I hope you enjoyed the photos. I hope you enjoyed the chat with Justin. I really did, as you can see. If you get a chance, if you could subscribe and ding that bell, because then you get notified of future episodes and other interviews. Anyway, have a great day. Cheers.